Welcome to the All About You podcast. I am your host Sheila, and today I'm delighted to welcome Sue back on the podcast. In my last conversation with Sue, we were talking about the benefits of yoga and meditation and the books that Sue has written. So today we are going into the world of transformation. Sue, welcome back to the podcast.
It's so great to be here, Sheila. I just love being with you.
Oh, well, I know we're going to have a good conversation. We're going to be talking about transformation. I imagine this is going to be a very big topic. What are we going to be talking about with transformation?
Well, transformation is a big topic because there's so many levels of it, and being alive as a human, transformation is happening constantly, not only as a human, but it's happening on the earth constantly. Everything is constantly transforming and moving, and everything is constantly changing. That's the only thing that is a constant, really, is transformation, is change, right? Because things are constantly changing. We can consciously work with this process as a human to create transformation within our lives. We have free will. We can choose not to look at something, or we can choose to look at something and transform or transmute it into something different. Every day we're working with this energy of transformation. When we boil the kettle, the water's transforming, the molecules are moving. When we drink something, then it's going into our body, the body is transforming. Transformation is at the basis of our existence here on the planet. Transformation is part of this planet. And so as human beings, and transformation is also like a lot about what I do in my work. I work a lot with helping people to transform, whether it's teaching about how to relax and transform the nervous system from being agitated to being calm and quiet. And I always say that I teach what I need to learn. That is one of my biggest challenges, is working with my own nervous system. So I'm always working with that transformational process. And as we discussed last time, we talked about yoga. There's the Trinity. We have the Trinity in Christianity as well. We have Trinity in the threes. It's a common theme. But in the yogic tradition, there's Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the sustainer, and Shiva is the transformer. And I am very connected with the Shiva energy. That for me is like very much the energy that I feel very, very aligned with. And when I went to India, actually, I realized that I call myself now like a Shivite. I'm a Shivite. I'm in the line of Shiva. I also connect with Brahma and Vishnu and many other things, but that energy of transformation really resonates with me.
I think it's really interesting when you're talking about transformation, because if we go back in the day, we used to have like self-help, which was always a bit sort of, so you're obviously broken, you're trying to sort of repair yourself or fix yourself. That's now changed to personal development, and everyone is talking about whether you're reading a book to eat better, whether you're trying to sleep better. And I think a lot more people are paying attention to themselves and their health and their sanity. The pandemic, there was a big shift. I know we're still talking about the pandemic, but I sense that was a point that gave us all a bit of a, let's just stop for 5 minutes. We all had a little bit more time, and people have got into, okay, I really need to take care of my health. I really need to improve myself, lose some weight, or learn about breathing techniques or something. There's been a big shift.
There is a big consciousness awakening happening on the planet, and I see people moving, and myself as well. We're all moving so much faster and transforming and realizing things and opening more and discovering more about ourselves. I think if we could just not do anything and we'd be transforming as well, because it's like, it's part of our nature as humans to transform. It's kind of, you think about like an acorn tree, and the acorn, when that acorn goes into the ground and then grows, you don't have to sit there and go, come on, acorn seed, grow, grow, grow. No, it knows what to do, right? It knows how to grow. It knows what to root down, to put its sprouts, We don't have to do anything. It's happening around us all the time. In nature, we can see that transformation just naturally happening. And we're part of nature. I mean, we are also, just a baby in a mother's belly. It's going from one, cell to two to a human being. That's an incredible transformational process in itself.
Mother Nature is so clever. I mean, she was a woman. We have to give her credit for that. She was a woman.
She is.
This is the thing, the miracle of life, the miracle of birth. We are still, oh my God, someone's had a baby and that baby changes so quickly and you watch that child grow up. Let's talk about type of transformation that you are working with people on. What types of transformation?
Yeah, one that I mentioned before is the transformation of the nervous system. My book of 93 Prescriptions for Joy is about transforming from maybe like a more negative state or a grumpy mind or a depression or anxiety, and using that to transform and lift your spirit and have a different point of view on things, because where your attention goes, your energy flows. So if you're caught into the past and thinking about something that happened and going over it and over and over and over it, then you're in depression. And it's not a comfortable place to be, let's say, in depression or in anxiety. But sometimes there is just, we can't get out of that, or we're in that kind of thing that keeps going round and round and round. So yeah, I work with people. I'm also in the process of doing a master's in family constellations, and I've been bringing that into my work as well to help people to transform. That's what I'm doing here on the planet. I feel like it's not my purpose exactly, but it's what my work is about, is that transformation. And a lot of it is transforming and helping people to open to their spiritual nature, open to their personal growth, deepen their personal growth, transform things that are happening inside of them that are limiting them from being in joy and in inner peace.
This is really interesting, Sue, what you're saying. I knew this conversation was going to be great. We spend so much time in our heads thinking about the past. We cannot change the past, but we can look at it and think, okay, what have I learned from the past that I will not repeat in the future? We also spend a lot of time in the future going, okay, after this, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, da, 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 da. We spend so little time in the here and now, the present. And this is literally, this moment is now gone. Thinking about, she said, he said, what I should have done, what they should have done. We can do nothing about that, but hopefully learn a lesson. And then we're about the future. We're not in the present.
No, we're not. And that's actually the only place there is that is actually real. Everything else is a construct or a projection in our head or a memory or a projection. So one of the things that I find that I do and other people do, like maybe I will be worrying about, for instance, I have to move now because my landlords are selling my house. That was like stirring up a lot of things in me, feeling insecure. Where am I going to go? What's happening? Should I be panicking a bit? But then I have to keep coming back to this moment and realize right now I have a roof over my head. I have food in my refrigerator. Like, we are actually fine in this moment. And that is part of the transformational process, is bringing us back to this moment. And in this moment, what am I grateful for? What am I going to focus on in this moment? I'm grateful to be sitting here with you. I'm grateful for my clothing. I'm grateful for my water I have at my side. Like, just very simple, practical things. I remember a friend of mine was really having a hard time, and I was telling her this. She goes, are you kidding me? You want me to be grateful for my teacup? That's ridiculous. I was like, yeah, I do. Because the mind can get so grumpy. And it can be like, what? But actually these practices work. And we were just talking just before the session about a daily routine or having something that you do every day that brings you into your center. That is a transformational act. Having those 5 minutes of, even if it's just drinking your tea consciously, or saying your affirmations, or writing 10 gratitudes. I give this to students that train with me. 10 gratitudes for the morning, 10 gratitudes before bed. and I give them a book, and they have to fill that book. That's their homework, part of their homework, because that changes people's lives. So many people have told me that really changed me so much.
And particularly at night, we get into bed and we think, oh God, this didn't go well today to do it, and then tomorrow I've got to do it, and you think, okay. And I just imagine like a screech of brakes, stop. You are just so blessed. You are lying in a comfortable bed. Thankfully, I'm in a safe environment. I've got a nice pillow and blankets and sheets. The air I'm breathing, I've got water by my bed. Oh my God, you are so blessed. Regardless of what went on today, what irritations went on today. And it just makes you sort of go, oh my God, I am just so blessed.
Totally.
And you take that into your night's sleep. And then if you do, I had a really nice sleep. Oh yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm ready to face the day. Yeah, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
It can make a huge difference.
It can.
And a gratitude practice does not have to be a 20-minute, just 2 or 3 things in your mind at night. You're grateful that you had a nice lunch today, or something you did at work went well. But yeah, gratitude is huge.
I do find it's more powerful if you write it down than just think about the things. But you can also think about it. That also helps too.
I mean, the thing with gratitude, I do gratitude every day. Try to sort of move away from, I'm grateful for my mental health, I'm grateful for my body, my family, my friends, etc. I try to go a little bit deeper, and I might pick one thing. It's like, I'm just so grateful for my ears, because I listened to the most wonderful piece of music yesterday. It brought back these amazing memories of where I was at the time, who I was with. Having that memory go, oh my God, that was really great, I remember. And it just makes your heart swell. And it's just going that little bit deeper. Sometimes it's good just to pick one little aspect and, okay, let's just dig a bit deeper on that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can practice gratitude. Even I sometimes will do gratitude themes, or you could do speed gratitude, or you can do a deeper gratitude, like what you were talking about. Like if you're writing 10 gratitudes, you're kind of going fast. But if you can also go deeply into one thing and really feel that, because we live in a vibrational world, and I think we spoke about this in the last podcast. But the way that we vibrate, and that's what the gratitudes do, is they transform our state into a quote-unquote higher vibration, which doesn't mean it's better than a lower vibration, but it's just a lot more comfortable to be feeling joyous than to be in the drudge of everything. So yeah, gratitude is an attitude of gratitude. It takes us a long, long way.
I mean, this is the thing, isn't it, with gratitude, whether you're writing it down, whether you're saying it, whether you're thinking it, whatever you want to do, it can make a huge difference. And sometimes I'll order a cup of coffee if I'm out somewhere, and you just go to pick up the coffee and I'm like, hang on a minute, let's just appreciate this coffee. And I think back, I've had somebody who's brought the coffee to me, somebody had to deliver the coffee to the cafe, a farmer had to tend to the plants to make the cafe. And then I've gone on and all the way back, and the water and the climate, and I sort of pick up the cup, and you look at the cup and, oh, I've never noticed it's got a logo on the side, or the cup and saucer doesn't match or something. And then you take it and I just look at the coffee, and sometimes I bless the coffee, and I'm sure those cups of coffee taste way better than the ones that I had exactly the same coffee, exactly the same cafe the week before. I just picked it up and drank it in 5 gulps. That cup of coffee is just
divine.
Out there, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is the thing we do, isn't it? And scientists have proved if we can bless our food and drink, or appreciate our food and drink, or give thanks, whatever you want to call it, it changes the taste of the food.
Absolutely.
You get more nutritional benefits from it.
Yes, the energy. We can actually use our mind to change the energy. And I invite everyone just to get a glass of water right now, and you can just put an intention in that water, fill your water with, because water has memory. You can actually put an intention into your water and then drink that water and fill yourself with that. So you could bless your water with love or appreciation or compassion or whatever it is that you're needing. You can actually put your own intention into your water. And that idea of, I mean, you're like a transformational expert, Sheila. I mean, you're just here like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm here, because you're like explaining some of the things I was going to say. But yeah, it's just like, that's it. It's transforming our moments into actually like it's like magical and divine moments of enjoying that cup of coffee, because you actually went back and realized what it took to bring that coffee to your lips and to take it into your body. There was a woman that works with a lot of energy healing. She's an energy healer. And this man came to her session. He just was like in the back of the room. He came for a couple of weeks, several weeks, and he was like a street person. And you know, he looked terrible. She said he looked terrible. And then she ran into him like a year later, and he looked so much better. And she said to him, wow, like I know you from, I saw you in the back. She had told him he could come for free. He didn't participate, but he was just in the back. And she said, what's happened? He said, I'm still living on the street, but I bless all my food now. Whatever he gets from the dumpster or whatever he's eating, he blesses it. And just doing that one thing, this guy completely transformed. Actually, she said he had his hair cut. He was like, yeah, looking so much better. These simple things, we might pass them off, but they're powerful and they can change lives.
I mean, there is scientific proof, isn't there, that
yes,
giving thanks. I mean, one thing I like to do, I know a lot of people are going to think, oh my God, this is a bit out there. When I'm walking down the street, I will just see people and I just bless you.
You
or
are
I'll
so
say
cool.
to them,
Absolutely.
oh, I really hope that person in the blue shirt gets some really good piece of news today, or they get the answer that they're waiting for. I don't know whether it's a student. I really hope she gets the exam results she wants, or I hope she gets a good grade.
I do the same thing. Like I even like go into the grocery store and I just say, I'm blessing everyone in this store. I'm sending love to everyone in this store. We can transform our environment. I do that in airplanes or in airports. Those are really stressful places. Or whenever, if I'm feeling like I'm in a group things are stressful, just send love to everybody, honor everybody. We actually have the power to transform our world and our day-to-day, and I love that. That's awesome.
I mean, these things we're talking about, you know, appreciating our coffee and giving gratitude and blessing people. It's quick. It's easy. It's free. We can all do it. You don't need, you just say, okay, I'm going to bless one person today and I'm going to say thank you before I have my morning coffee. Simple practices. You start doing that and you just wait and see what happens.
No wonder, now I'm realizing why I love being around you. You have such a good energy. And I'm understanding it now. More. I'm understanding you more.
Oh, really? That's a bit scary, isn't it? But I just think very, very simple practices.
Absolutely.
That, you know, I'm just waiting for the bus. Okay, how many people can I... Right, I'm going to bless you. I want you to receive the answer you want. I want you, the student, to get a good result in your exam. It's a bit of a game. It passes the time. And I think, I feel good now. I get on that bus and I just feel a little bit taller. And I think, yeah, okay, good start to the day, and I don't even give it a thought. And then at some point, something random will happen, and I'm thinking, ooh, that's a big thing that has happened that's really good, come out of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
So I'm very much as in, I'm hoping that student did get their good exam result. I'm hoping that person did have a good day or get the answer they wanted. Mm-hmm. But I think you get it back in spades.
Absolutely. Everything that we put out comes back. I mean, my mom was, I love my mom very much, and she's no longer here on the planet, but she loved playing games. So she would always say, let's play the making bed game. Let's play the making dinner game. But this is like, let's play the bless everyone game. Let's play the gratitude game. And it was like all about play for her, so because sometimes we can be in a pretty dark space. And when we're in those dark spaces, it's hard to be blessing everyone when we're not feeling well ourselves. And saying that when we do bring ourselves out and turn our focus, actually be kind to someone else, it can change our experience. And these are all transformational experiences. And every day we're transforming and we're learning and we're changing. And these are just consciousness exercises that you can bring into your day to day.
So, Sue, when people want to work with you for transformation, what type of things do you to help them with?
Well, it can be anything from personal relationships that they're having problems with. It can be, just recently, someone came to me, well, they had a very difficult birth, need help in like processing that, a lot of relational difficulties, also working with people with anxiety, working with people with depression, teaching people how to relax, which is an art. I actually have like a free program, it's on my Instagram. It's called Relax and Transform, and it's in English and Spanish. And because when we relax, we actually transform. Because when we give ourselves that space to be and come into the moment, then we transform. And a lot of it is that we're just so busy and we're in our habits. And I help people look and see what kinds of patterns they have. Like we can get into these kind of ruts of belief systems of I'm not enough. That's a big one. Or my big one is feeling alone or feeling abandoned. This is, a lot of people have this. Even though they're in a relationship, even though they have family, they feel alone. How to accompany yourself and become your own partner in what you're doing. But these things all take practice, they take awareness. So it's being able to see what's going on. So I help people to see what's happening and then help them to transform or work with it in a different way. Or become aware of maybe where that's coming from. Sometimes we have to relive something fully to release it. Because when it happened, and this is like more like traumas, it gets stuck in the body. And so, there's this saying, I mean, many people now say this, the body remembers. Your issues are in your tissues. That's why part of why yoga is very powerful, because the yoga asana, when you're stretching and opening, you can release things, but you can also consciously go inside your body, because usually when there's a blockage or there's something going on, you feel that somewhere in your body, but we don't think about that. We keep ourselves very, very busy, so we don't have to be with ourselves, because a lot of times being with ourselves can mean confronting places that we don't want to be in because they're uncomfortable. And that's actually what COVID, you were talking about that before, what the pandemic did was give us a lot more space. And so a lot of people did have that time to look inside, and it was very difficult for some people, wonderful for others, not good for others. So it was a mixed bag for people, but it did give that space to actually slow down and take some time to, revisit a lot of things and be with ourselves more.
I mean, there's so much from what you've just said I need to unpick with you. I was thinking, we spend so much of our time in our heads. Mm-hmm. We tend to think everybody's looking at us and judging us. Mm. No, most people are in their own heads worrying about themselves and their problems, but we tend to think they're going, why is she wearing that? It's about time she got her roots done, etc., etc. Uh-huh. We spend a lot of time in our heads. For example, if we imagine someone comes home from work, maybe the first thing is they pour themselves a glass of wine, or they put the TV on, or they'll put music on. A lot of people will not be comfortable with no sound. I read an article about this, and it was basically saying to stop the voices in your head.
Yeah.
Rather than be comfortable with what's going in your head. And sometimes you have to just, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to sort of try and process this, whether it's thinking, whether it's talking out loud, having a conversation with yourself, like yourself and your therapist, as two separate people, journaling, whatever. We're in our head a lot of the times, and sometimes a lot of people try and avoid that and override that with the TV.
But it's not sometimes. It's like the major society is constantly avoiding and looking outside to basically distract from what's going on inside, because it actually is an inside job. This transformational work isn't an inside job. It's going in. Everything that we're looking for outside, including the relationship or the money or the whatever, it's all inside of us. That abundance is in us. That a relationship of being really present with ourselves is actually inside of us, because actually nobody outside us can give that to us. We are the only ones that can really be present with ourselves. When we're born, we come into the world alone. When we leave, we die alone. We walk hand in hand with many, many people as we go through this lifetime. But the actual process of that transformation, you can have support with somebody outside, but we have to go through it. Each one of us has to go through it ourselves. And we have to look at those, what we call the shadow, the part that we don't want to see, the part that we're hiding. All those things that you're thinking like, oh, are my roots coming in? Do I look okay? Am I wearing? It's these things. What does that person think of me? Those are all things that we think of ourselves, that we project out into the world on others, when actually these are things that we are judging about ourselves. So then it's like, okay, I'm judging myself for what I'm wearing. How am I going to work with that? How am I going to shift that? How am I going to, we have the inner critic. That's like a big topic. Yeah.
That's another podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, like these are all like transformational experience of how to bring ourselves, my idea anyway, is to help people bring themselves into peace with themselves. And it's my work too, to be at peace with myself. What we're doing here, we're learning to be at peace. We can just be out there not at peace with ourselves and arguing with ourselves and everyone else in our world. But it's a lot more comfortable to be at peace and to be calm inside than to have this anxiety or depression. And it's a beautiful process, and it brings us to meet so many people and to have so many experiences. It makes life much richer.
I think it's a big thing if we sort of talk about Project Me or Project I, or however you want to address it. Not many people would say, okay, I'm going to really try and work on myself. I'm going to listen to those voices. A lot of people would struggle, I think.
Absolutely.
And I always think it would be quite an interesting exercise. I don't know if this happens. If you just said to people, okay, I'm going to give you a blank notebook and a bunch of pens, and you're just going to stay in this room all day. So once they've written down maybe some goals and a shopping list and where their ideal holiday would be, once you start getting down to underneath all that busyness, what are they going to put in that notebook? I think you might have some people who will do pages and pages and ask for a second notebook because they're really getting into it. Oh my God, I've got this time to think about what I really want, what I feel, what's going on, how I feel about that. Other people, that would just be rattling the door and give me the key to get out. Yes.
Everyone has their own way. There's so many different techniques to go inside. There's the morning pages you've probably heard of.
This keeps coming across my radar. I had a conversation, I think, on Sunday about morning pages. Sue, could you just explain what morning pages is?
I did morning pages it was a while ago, and I haven't done it. I think it's you write 3 pages, is it? Or you write for 5 minutes, or I forget what it is, but you write a certain amount of time, and you just write anything, what comes to you, and you just write and write and write and write and write and write. And it can be gobbledygook, or it can be your plan of the day, or it can be anything, but it's a kind of a way of unloading your head onto a piece of paper. But another thing I would like to talk about in terms of writing and this practice of how to connect more with your soul, with your wisdom, with your inner wisdom. When we can dump all that stuff out of our head, that's when we can drop into our hearts. That's when we can receive the inner wisdom and become our own inner guidance and listen to our own. And so one way of doing that, always the breath is in the moment. So if we focus on the breath, 3 breaths, and then you can find a way into your heart, either through gratitude, or maybe you visualize a stairwell going into your heart, or maybe you visualize a flower in your heart, or you just take yourself into your heart, and then have a question. If you're struggling with something, what should I do about this? Should I go to India or not? Or should I confront this person or not? Or how can I expand my business? Or how can I improve this relationship? Or whatever your question is. And I encourage you to think of that question first. Then you connect with your breath, you connect with your heart, and then you listen. And answers do come. There is that small voice there. Do not dismiss what comes, because often it's a very quiet thing. it can be a yes or a no, or it could be a longer message, and then you can write that down or just receive the message. But we have a lot that's available to us, but it's taking the time to access it and to be with it. And what happens is we get so caught up in our head and the story, and this happened and this person did that. I do that a lot. I have to be reminded. I call my friends, and I say, I'm having a really hard time with this, and they help to remind me, take a breath, go back inside. Yes, sometimes we have to accept things as they are and make space, let it go, and move on. That might be a message. But there's ways to access. There's a lot of techniques. That was a very simple technique, but powerful to access your inner knowing. And I'm a great fan of people accessing their inner knowing. And if not, then you can seek help outside. You can always seek help outside.
I love that, the staircase to your heart. I've even designed my staircase in my mind.
Yeah.
That to me, because I'm a very visual person.
Yeah.
So for me, that I can visually follow that staircase is just genius.
Yeah, it is.
Because it gives me something to focus on as I'm concentrating in the breathing, and the breathing will get into its own natural rhythm.
Well, the breathing is like, you can do the breathing, but I recommend you do the breathing first. Consciously take 3 breaths. Then you can continue with the breathing, but first do the breaths, because what the breaths do is they bring you into the moment, and then take yourself down the spiral staircase into your heart.
I'm going to borrow that, Sue, because that is
you don't
just
have to borrow it,
genius.
you can have it. Yeah. There's a woman that I actually got that from, a woman named Sarah Landon. She's just coming out with a book, actually. And she's got a lot of techniques of how to connect with your inner channel and your inner guides. And
because I think when we talk about things like meditation, people have this, I've got to sit cross-legged for an hour, quieten my mind, and I've got 3 kids, a full-time job. It doesn't have to be that way, does it?
Absolutely not. Of course, it's more challenging when you have 3 kids and a full-time job. Definitely, to carve out that time for yourself. But I mean, this is something that I've done and still need to do, is schedule time to be with myself, like a date. Because if we don't schedule into the calendar, it just, sometimes we get the rhythm and we're doing it, or you have it blocked off in your calendar in some way because you go to practice your yoga or whatever it is that you happen to do that takes care of you. But actually making a date with yourself, or scheduling in those 15 minutes. A mom with 3 kids can even schedule 5 minutes in the morning after she wakes up and gets ready and everything. 5 minutes to just be with herself. It doesn't have to be an hour sitting cross-legged. Yeah, it can be very small. These very small things, these practices can have an effect.
And I think an interesting thing when you're talking about that 5 minutes, if we feel we have had that 5 minutes to ourselves, we just feel better, and then we can go out and be better for our children, our family, at work.
Absolutely.
We just think, okay, I've had that it's only 5 minutes, but I've had that. Okay, I'm ready to be the mum, the whatever. Absolutely, yeah.
The more nourished that we are, the more we can nourish others. And if we're completely depleted, what do we have to give? Nothing.
I mean, this is a great example. They always say on an aircraft, put your oxygen mask on first before you help anybody else.
Exactly.
And I think, we all understand that one, but the more you can do for yourself, and yes, it can be challenging even to get that 5 minutes, but the more we can do for ourselves, the better we are for everybody else.
That's totally true. So yeah, just creating those practices, even like for me lately, taking time to rest. Just resting is really important. We get so busy in this life. It's just like, and my calendar just gets so filled up, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm tired. I need to take just space, not have anything planned. And then in that moment go, I'm going to go to the beach and take a walk. Or, what I'd like to do actually, I'm going to go sit in a cafe and have a tea or whatever it is. But making that space for us, prioritizing ourselves and our personal evolution, our personal transformation. Because for me, what are we doing here?
I think that is so powerful what you said there about, we are all busy. Because how are you? Oh, I'm busy. Mm-hmm. This is our natural...
the natural state.
Exactly. I'm really into sort of planning, and I love routine. And I came across this thing the other day called white space. Mm-hmm. And basically in your calendar, if you can, and we all lead different lives, put a bit of white space in there. And they say, even if it's like 20 minutes, doesn't matter when you do it, and that is just for you. Mm-hmm. Whether that is just to sit down with a cup of coffee, go for a short walk, but just a bit of space for you. Mm-hmm. And just take that bit of breath.
Yeah, just hearing about it is relaxing.
And I think visualization is great, because I was talking about a stressful situation the other day that was unfolding. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be present here. All this was going on, and I'm thinking... But in my mind, I'm sitting on the beach in the Caribbean. I've got blue skies, clear waters. I've got my lovely drink with my umbrella in it. And I was that's where I was, despite all this chaos going on in front of me. And I sort of caught myself with this sort of knowing smile, just imagining myself, I'm on this sunbed and the blue skies and everything. And then these people, are you okay, Sheila? Yeah, I'm fine. And I almost said, yeah, I'm sitting on my sun lounger in the Caribbean.
Like disconnecting from the reality in front of you, creating your own reality.
Absolutely, and it was far better than what was going on.
You could just be here in the Mediterranean, like right down from your house, and be having a little drink there.
Well, the Caribbean was the first one that came to me. But
I love
absolutely. Just, sitting on the bus, okay. But, in my mind, I'm somewhere, I'm walking through a lovely forest. I can hear the birds and the crackers I walk across, the branches.
We are actually so powerful, but we are not taught about how to use the mind. We're not taught this. We're taught addition, subtraction, division, and lots of facts and different things in school. It's almost like schooled out of us, this connection with spirit, this connection with intuition. It is schooled out of us. And things are slowly changing. Yeah, we're not taught how to access these other parts of ourselves. And yeah, you can be in a very chaotic situation, but be totally still inside yourself. And that is a possibility, because what's all going around you, it's they call it in yoga, it's the Maya, it's the illusion. But if you are connected with yourself, if you can take those 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes of that white space, or whatever you want to call it, and reconnect and be in your center, it's a whole different reality.
I'm playing a little game on the bus now, because we're in tourist season here. We're actually recording this in mid-July. So lots of tourists, and nightmare on public transport at the moment. But we're all wearing our sunglasses. So if I'm lucky enough to get a seat on the bus, I've got my sunglasses on, and it's all chaos around me, and I'm thinking, my latest thing is I'm walking through a stately home, and I'm admiring the paintings, the furniture, and the beautiful colours in the carpets. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to get on that bus, because I'm going to get into my secret place. I'm going to discover another room today. And it's just a game that I've just created this last couple of weeks.
That's so cool.
But it is so calming.
Yeah. In order to create that game, it's like you have to have the conscious awareness to be like, okay, I'm going into this environment. I'm going to create a different reality for myself. What happens is we are so identified with our mind and with all the problems and everything that we have to do, that to step back and actually be conscious and make another choice, that also takes a certain level of awareness. So that's so cool.
It's so relaxing than scrolling on my phone, hearing about the current chaos in the world.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, right, I'm going into a different room today. I've got 30 minutes on the bus. Let's go for it. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this conversation will be rolling their eyes and going, oh my God, what's she on? But the power of the mind. We're joking about using visualization while I'm on the bus. I think that's a genius idea myself. Maybe not for everybody, but I think it's great.
Yeah,
and it's really working.
That's so cool. And maybe not everyone's visual, but you can also imagine like what it would feel like to be on the beach, or the sensations in your body, or there's a lot of ways that you can work with that that's not more kinesthetic if you're not such a visual. I am a very visual person, but if some people aren't and they can't visualize, but you can feel things. You can take yourself to a feeling, feel yourself getting a massage, or feel what it would be like to be here or there, or...
But we are flexing that creative muscle.
Exactly. It is exactly
in our
that.
brains.
Well, where your attention goes, your energy goes. So where do you want to put your energy? And that is even something interesting to write down. Where do you want to put your energy? Because do you want to be putting your energy into all the problems, or you want to put your energy into the solutions, or into this moment, or into the past and the future? These are choices. This is actually something we do have a choice. Sometimes it doesn't feel like we have a choice because we're so locked into our patterns and our conditioning. But we can actually change that when we're aware of it. So when we realize we're doing this, every time we do this same thing of going into the complaining or going into whatever it is that we don't want to keep doing, we shift our mind and we actually can change the neural structure. It's called neuroplasticity, of where our mind goes and where we're focusing, and we actually can change our reality. We're that strong. We're that powerful, actually.
I mean, neuroplasticity, this keeps coming across my radar. Mm-hmm. Random podcasts keep talking about this, whether this is connected or not, but I'm beginning to realise when I'm in the shower, you're just doing routine shower thing, automatic pilot, I get ideas. And I'm beginning to realise, I guess it's my mind, I'm on automatic pilot, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. And, you're sort of rhythmic washing, you've got the smell of the soap. And I find I get these really good, well, I think they're really good ideas, maybe not everybody else. And I'll come out and say to my husband, I've just had this brilliant idea. And I'm realising that is a really good place where ideas just come. And I'm like, is it because I'm just doing a rhythmic activity I don't really have to think about? Is it I'm giving my brain a chance to just forget about minutiae and things, right, okay, we've got a little gap here, we can float some ideas up to the top?
Well, the shower is an interesting place because it sounds like you enjoy the shower. And the water washing over you, the smell of the soap. And so it sounds like you're quite kind of in the moment there in the shower. And it's something that is a routine, a pleasurable routine. So it gives you that break and that space for these ideas to drop in.
Brain is just phenomenal. The other day I was just walking out the door and from nowhere it came into my brain, don't forget to take XYZ. How does that work? How does my brain know? And it was something very, very important I needed to take with me. How does my brain know that I've forgotten that thing?
It is amazing.
The brain is just, it's almost, I want the brain to talk to me to explain how something like that happens. How is it when I'm in the shower I get what I class as brilliant ideas? How does that work? I mean, the power of the brain, the mind, the subconscious, the conscious, is just incredible, and I don't think we give it anywhere near the credit it deserves until we talk to somebody like you, a professional who is studying the body, the mind, the power of how it all, our mental capacity, our physical capacity with the yoga, etc. It's just amazing.
It is amazing. And the thing of the neuroplasticity and the neurons, because when we're born, we have, like on the tip of a pin, there's millions of neurons. That's how many there are. There's so many available. But as a baby, those are not nourished. That's why a baby in an orphanage will not develop. But a child that's exposed to, that's why they have the classical music, and if they're exposed to several languages, then whatever they're exposed to, those neuron pathways make connections. And they synapse together, or neurons that fire together, wire together. But they also synapse in you're not good enough. And why did you do that? Because a lot of your first 5 years is don't do that and careful of that. And so we get these kind of very negative kind of conditioning in our mind. So it takes time to unravel those. And it's like to get the so-called positive neuron synapse going, it's like going through a jungle with a machete to like, I am good enough, I am loving, I am good. You have to go through there and keep working those connections. And whatever we can imagine with this amazing mind, because the mind is an amazing tool. It's amazing. It is, we try to figure things out with science. Like, we don't have a clue really of anything. We think we're figuring these things, we are figuring certain things out, but the mind is also limited, but it's also incredible. This incredible machine or computer system or whatever you want to call it. Whatever we can imagine, all those amazing ideas that are dropping into your head, whatever we can imagine, we can create. And we can create. We have so many ability. If we don't have the idea of it, we can't make it happen. But when we have an idea, we can create it. I mean, maybe there's something. I don't know that we can't, but I'm not going to jump from here to the moon, for instance. But there's many things that when we have the idea, if we can imagine it, we can create it in our reality. So that's really cool as well.
Before we finish the podcast, is there anything we should have covered that we haven't covered? I mean, I feel we have just scratched the surface on a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to
Nothing really.
add?
I feel like, no, I think this was an interesting conversation and maybe something I hope will be stimulating for people to think about their world and how they're being in it and their own personal transformational process.
So I think maybe a good takeaway from this conversation would be plan to have a cup of coffee or a tea or a glass of water and just appreciate, give thanks, think about who was involved to get that coffee or that tea to you in the cup, whether you're at home, in a cafe, or whether you're lucky enough someone's bought you a coffee. Just think back and give thanks to all those people involved to give you that cup of coffee, and I guarantee that will be the best tea, coffee you've ever drunk.
Or you can also buy someone that you don't even know a cup of coffee and see how that changes the energy, or the person behind you pay their coffee. There's so many things that we can do to make positive transformation in our lives.
Sue, what can I say about this conversation? Absolutely fascinating.
So much fun to be with you, Sheila.
Oh, well, I love our conversation. So, Sue, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
My pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And if you would like to be a guest, please contact me on allaboutyou@yahoo.com and let's tell your story.